Hopefully you're watching this after you've watched the previous few videos. Last video we covered how to preview the quiz and answer the multiple choice questions. We saw what it was like to be a student, and then we saw how to look at those responses and how to deal with them. In this video, we're going to once again preview the quiz, answer the questions, but this time we're going to deal with how to grade a longer short answer and essay sort of question. So let's preview this. And again, our answers, we remember from last time, who does Hamlet's mother marry? The answer is Claudius. And then we're going to put in that this is a tragedy. Laertes is traveling to France. They're called groundlings, performed at the Globe. And what I've done is I've added a section called essays. So at the bottom of these objective questions, I have put another section. It's called the essay question section. And then the question is, do you think Hamlet is justified in his desire to avenge his father's death? In this case, I'm going to answer yes. I think that if I were a teenager and my uncle killed my father, that I would want to kill my uncle to make things right for me so I could ascend to the throne. And then we click submit. Now I put one other answer in there as well so that we have a couple to compare. So we're going to close that and we'll go back to our forms. Now see how this now says section 1 of 2. At the end of this question, I simply highlighted this question, then I added a section and I called it essay question. And this is the essay question where you can put the longer paragraph text. Now, most of this is graded for you. The first 5 points are graded automatically. How do you deal with that other question? Well, there are two ways. The old-fashioned way is to create a spreadsheet, and then you create the spreadsheet in your Drive, and you can view it this way. And at the end, you could, in column I, you could format, and you could wrap text in this column, and turn the text wrapping on, and you could grade it from there. That's the old-fashioned way. That's an option if you like spreadsheets. Probably not the best option. We'll close that, and let's go with what would be probably the better option. When this comes up, normally it comes up to summary. If we go to the tab labeled question, and if we select any particular question, in this case, we're going to select question 6. Look, those answers are there. So I read the first answer, that I don't think Hamlet is justified in avenging his father's death because the Bible states vengeance belongs to God. I think that Hamlet would create more problems than he'll solve by killing his uncle. Secondly, does not appear to be of a good mind to be making life and death judgments. I think this answer is correct, and I'm going to give this answer a 5 out of 5. This answer is a run-on sentence, and I don't think there's much thought given to it. I'm not going to mark it wrong, but I'm only going to give it a 1 because I feel like it didn't really answer the question appropriately. And then I must remember to click save. And once I do that, I can see in my summary, I can see my point distribution for the questions, and I can see my scores. The first person got a 10 out of 10, whereas the second person received a 6 out of 10 for including that short answer. So that's how that would be done if you wanted to include a longer answer question. But you do have to grade those individually and yourself because Google Forms won't do that. Now, before we leave this series of videos, what do you do when you've given the quiz and everyone's had a turn to take it? Or if you want to manage the quiz so students don't have the opportunity to take it whenever they want, that's this button right here, accepting responses. If you slide that button to the left by clicking on it, it will not accept responses, even if the link is in your Google Classroom. So for example, here's what they would see if they clicked on it. It would say that it's not collecting responses right now. So we'll close that. If we turn it back on, it will then allow us to take the quiz. So you can manage this. Once you have put it out there and the students have taken it and you want it for grading and you don't want anyone else to take it until further approval, or you don't want them to be able to access questions that you may have written for them to keep in the future, you can turn off accepting responses. You can also control what they see in settings. If you remember, in general, when you return those questions, if you don't return correct answers, then students won't be able to have those questions either. So if you're worried about test security, if this is something you're going to be using long term, then that's where you'll look at that. I hope that this series of a few videos has been helpful. And if you have other questions, you know where to contact me.